Welcome back. Hope you're all doing well. Hope your trucks are treating you good. I am in Albany, Georgia. It's been a little while since I made a video. Been doing certain things, got off track there for a little bit, and then I got back on. So now I'm back in the van. And I tell you what, I really, really enjoy driving this van. A lot of good things about it. Like today, I'm here in at the Walmart in Albany, and I'll probably drive around town a little bit, just looking at the town. I've never been to Albany before, and might find a park to go to, do some walking, get in some exercise or something. But that's something you couldn't do very much in a big truck, and I find that I can just go anywhere in this van, just about anywhere, and I hear no complaints about it. So I'm going to get into the rates I've been getting, how much I'm paying for fuel, how much I've been paying for maintenance, and where I'm getting the loads and how I'm getting the loads, because that's key. That took me a couple of weeks, because when I jumped out here to begin with, I got very lucky. I didn't realize it at the time. I didn't realize it at the time, but I got two very good loads, boom, boom, right off the bat, with the limited knowledge that I had. And so between then and now, it's been hit and miss, but I'm getting to the point where I'm finding all the loads I need to find. And I'll get into that. But what I wanted to address first was people selling their information. You know what? Everybody's free to do whatever they want to do. If you want to sell the information you have and you're making money at it, more power to you. I don't think there are really very many mysteries in this if you just look around. I found lots of people doing videos on Sprinter vans. I found lots of people doing videos on box trucks, but I think I've only found 3 people doing a video on this type of vehicle. Now, this was a Penske moving truck, and it's 16 feet long, it's almost 8 feet wide, and it's 6 feet tall. And so it's different. And the one person I found who has a truck exactly like this, who's doing videos, he's got some good content as far as the videos go, but he wants to sell all his information, and apparently he's got a course he's made up, and he's claiming he's making $8,000 a week, and also signing people up to dispatch, some kind of dispatch service. So I'm very, very wary of somebody who's saying, I'm making $8,000 a week, but I'm not going to tell you how I do it unless you pay for it, and then wanting to sign you up to his dispatch service. Could be very legit. I don't know the guy. He seems like a nice person in his videos, but I'm very wary of that type of situation. So all along, I always give out all my information for free, and I've talked to a lot of drivers. Some people want to talk to me over the phone, and what I've found is that 99% of the people I talk to, they have a plan in place. They've already done their homework. They know what they want to do, and they're just not sure. They just need some affirmation to just, the biggest part of it is leaving something that you've been doing that you're sure of, and jumping out there into something you've never done before. But 99% of the people that I talk to, they know what they want to do. They have all the information. They have good information. They just need a little affirmation, and before they jump out there and get into this. So I'm going to give you all the information I can, not in this one video, of course, but as much as I can to clear up some things, because it's one of those things you don't know until you know. So let's get into it. Okay, let's talk about where I'm finding the loads and the rates and all that stuff. So I am at my receiver right now. It's Sunday afternoon. They're not open. It's a nice, quiet little place. They have lights, a security camera. So I'm going to park here for the night unless somebody runs me off. So the loads that I've found so far, I've gotten them all off of the DAT board and truck stop. There are just a ton of other load boards out there for this type of thing, but not, they just don't work out quite right. A lot of them are really for somebody with a flatbed trailer, or a flatbed truck, and locals, and people with a pickup truck. They're just not quite right for what I want to do. So Dat Board and Truck Stop have kept me in business so far on this. The things that I'm looking for on those load boards when I fill in the parameters, the first about 2.5 weeks, I was uh, looking for cargo van, sprinter van, straight van, moving van, and I forget what else. Those are the boxes I was ticking. Dat Board and Truck Stop are a little bit different, but they have a lot of the same categories. And so I'd also put in my parameters, what my limitations were: 16 feet long if I fold up my sleeper, 8 feet wide, and the uh, the height of the doorway is 6 feet. So once I filled all those in, as you can imagine, the the choices were pretty slim. At times around my house, there might only be one load, but they drop on the board pretty often. So it's one of those things, just like when I was doing power only, refreshing that board all the time. And it's still very difficult for me getting used to the rates. Before I was looking for something $3 plus or as much as I could get. And now, if I get something $1 plus, with some miles on it, I can make the same profit or close to it, when all things are said and done. But it's still, when I see something for 90 cents, I just pass it by right off the bat when I shouldn't. The name of the game in this type of vehicle really is partials, 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 partials. And it's very, very tricky, or can be, to try to get several partials in this thing. And I'll get into that in a minute. But so Dat Board, Truck Stop, and those specific parameters really, in certain areas, you're not going to find hardly anything. Certainly, you're not going to, if you put in dry van and you have no limitations, you're going to find lots and lots of loads out there, and you just have to parse through and find what you want and the rate you want. With this, it's a lot of hunting down the loads, waiting for them to jump on the board, and finding the ones you want, um, and trying to get 2 or 3 or 4 going in the same direction, and being trying to be very efficient at it. So the rates I've been looking at, the first week I jumped out there, I got close to $2 a mile. Can't remember exactly what it was, but in looking back, I realized I got very lucky. I went, I knew where I wanted to go. I went to my same area I like driving in, and I got lucky. I found a load going out there, and I got lucky. I found one coming back without much trouble. But since then, it's been more of a job, and I've traded up sort of the area that I was driving in. In this van, it doesn't bother me to drive just about anywhere, in the mountains, through the cities. It's very stress free. So I thought, hey, I'll jump over to the east side of the Mississippi and see what I can get over there and take my chances. And I was being way too picky. I was really trying to limit it to just one load on here and not get a bunch of partials. and that was a mistake. Um, Unless you just find a load that's it's dedicated and they don't want to put anything else with it, and it pays a good rate, you really need to get partials. So for about a week and a half there, I just kind of flailed around looking here and there, and then I realized I'm really limiting myself on when I'm just looking under cargo van, sprinter van, and straight van, um, because there's, you know, I knew in my mind that these agents, a lot of them don't really know what you're carrying. Um, Somebody just says, "Hey, I need a flatbed out here," and that's what they throw on the load board. And you know, I've actually run into agents and brokers who have no idea what the difference between a flatbed and a cargo van and a dry van is. So, in thinking about that, I realized I just got to open this thing up. Just put my limitations on there: the 16 feet, 8 feet wide, and 6 feet tall, and the weight limit. And once I did that, I had a lot more choices. It still wasn't a vast amount of choices. I just had quite a few more choices, but I realized this could really, uh, this could really be a waste of time. It could be dangerous. So what I'm about to tell you next, you're going to have to really have some experience to parse through the loads if you're going to do them the way that I've been doing them. And the first thing I'll tell you, I'll just start off with the most dangerous one. And that's if you put flatbed or flatbed hot shot and you put your limitations, your weight, your length, and all that in there, and you find a load that's 2,000 pounds and it's contained on a 4x4 pallet. And you think, oh my God, that's just one pallet. I can go get that. You really need to have some flatbed experience or some experience securing things, because you might pull up and it might be a 2,000-pound valve, giant, just this big hunk of metal sitting on a pallet that has to be secured, so that it doesn't roll over, roll around. Because something like that, if you don't secure it and you go around a corner and it tips over, it could tip over your whole truck, if it's 3,000 pounds. And it could be anything like that. A lot of times, if people know what they're doing and they're advertising that they need a flatbed or a flatbed hot shot, if they've got pallets of things, it's because they need those things secured, strapped down securely to the flatbed, so they won't move around. You'll get, a lot of times when you're doing flatbed stuff, you'll get equipment. They just throw it on a pallet, or they want to throw it on your trailer, and they want you to take the responsibility to make sure it doesn't fall off. You can't just throw that stuff in the back of a cargo van. And like I said, if you get something with a 2,000 or 3,000 pound piece of metal on it and they put it in the back of your cargo van, there is no good way to secure that. You really need to have some very good, what's the word I'm looking for here? You can't just use a cargo strap off the sides of your cargo van and strap something like that down, because there's not enough holding power on either end of that, on the straps or whatever you're strapping it to. And the only way to do that is to have some D-rings or something mounted to the wood on the floor. And still, when you do that, if it's not done right, there's not enough power there to put a lot of tension on something. Hopefully that makes sense. So, for instance, one of the loads that I picked up was a roll of carpet, and that sounds, like it's not too bad, but this roll was 3.5 feet tall, and it weighed 2,000 pounds or close to it. Now, you can't just stick that in the back of your van and go down the road, because as soon as you turn, 2,000 pounds is going to be rolling, hit the side of that trailer or the side of your van, and that has the momentum and the power to turn your whole van over. So what I had to do was I had to strap that thing put some belly straps on that thing all the way down. I put my dolly under one side of it, and I put my loading ramps on both sides of it so it wouldn't roll at all. And really and truly, I probably shouldn't have gone with that load, but I secured it pretty well, and it never moved going down the road. But something bigger than that, I wouldn't take the chance that, something that could roll unless they have it secured down to a pallet. And that's the thing. If you're looking at those flatbed loads, they usually just throw these big metal pieces on the back of your trailer, and they expect you to take the responsibility to make sure those things don't move. And you can't throw those things in the back of a cargo van because there's no proper way to secure those things. So hopefully that makes sense. So when you looking at different categories, if you have that one, ticked in there, and you come across a load that says, hey, we need a flatbed hot shot, we've got this, one 4x4 pallet and weighs 3,000 pounds. If you're going to do that, you better ask a whole bunch of questions. It could be something as simple as a generator, which is square. It will sit on the floor, and you can tie it off to both sides of the trailer or push it up to the front or what have you, and it won't move around much. But again, it could be something that's 5 feet tall, weighs 3,000 pounds, and all the weight's on the top. They don't have it, secured, so it's really dangerous. So you've got to ask a lot of questions. You've got to know what you're doing on those. Also, for any other category that you tick, being dock height is very important. And, excuse me, if you're not dock height, there is a little, I'll give you a little tip how to get dock height. And that's just to go to Auto Parts store or Walmart and get you some ramps. But it's one of those catch-22s. If you tell somebody at one of these major places, loading docks or buildings or manufacturers, shippers, whatever, that you plan on using ramps, they're going to shut you down because it's a liability, I guess. They don't want anybody backing up there onto ramps, and then you get in your truck and the ramps break or, anything like that. So they don't want you using ramps. So I prefer being honest, and if they ask me, this is usually how it comes up. So I'll call on a load. They'll say, oh, it's just 4 pallets. And I'll say, okay, how tall are they? And that rings a bell. If the agent knows what they're doing, they'll say, oh, well, what kind of truck do you have? And I'll be honest with it. I'll tell them I'd say it's a small box truck and it's not dock height. And the load I took earlier this week, they said, oh, that shouldn't be a problem. I think they have a ramp. You're good to go. And they did. But on ones like this, they don't have an actual really good ramp. They just have one that a forklift can come up and down, not one to really carry freight on. But I told the lady, I said, hey, I'm not dock height, but I have ramps. And she said, well, let me check on it. And she called back. She goes, that'll work. So, but most of the time, I've been shot down many, many times just because I wasn't dock height. And if I would have been dishonest and said, hey, I'm dock height, I probably would have got a few of those loads. And then I probably would have wasted a lot of time because I would have showed up and, took out my ramps. And as soon as they saw it, they would have run me off. So it's up to you, however you want to do that. But I'm usually pretty honest because, like I said, a lot of these major places, if they don't have a ramp to come up and down with that forklift, they don't want you using ramps on your truck. Every one of them says it's a liability. So, so it's kind of tricky, the freight that you get and what you're limited to in this specific type of vehicle. Now, I've taken loads that were meant for Sprinter vans. I've taken loads that were meant for straight vans. I've taken loads that were meant for dry vans, ones that were meant for flatbed. But I have experience in all of those. So I wasn't, I asked the right question, and I wasn't too afraid. When they told me what it was, I knew, hey, this isn't going to be falling down and moving all over the truck and damaging stuff. So um, you can do all those things. One of the you're limited sometimes, like the Sprinter vans. Sprinter vans don't have to run an ELD, and they don't have to stop at way stations, and so they're expedited. And lots of times, if you're using that category, and you ask about, you call on that load, one of the things you got to ask for is this time sensitive, because I've called on a couple and they said, oh yeah, you're good to go. And then I said, when does it have to be there? And it needed to be 1,000 miles in 15 hours. And I said, hey, I can't do that, sorry. So know, as much as you can, and know what you're getting into. Just ask a lot of the questions that you can. The rates, like I said, have been all over the place. I took 2 partials early in the week, um, going a little under 700 miles. One of them, like I said, was supposed to be 5 pallets. I got there, ended up being 1 pallet. The second one was supposed to be 1 pallet, and it was supposed to be an auger bit that weighed 2,000 pounds. Now, that's one of those um, ones that can be very dangerous. But I've worked with auger bits before. I've carried them before, and I knew one of 2 things was going to happen. They said it was going to be on a 4x4 pallet, so I knew I could. They could get it on the trailer, move it around for me, or my van, and I knew how to tie it down. I knew how to secure it. But when I showed up, it ended up being a 200-pound instead of a 2,000-pound auger. So I had 2 pallets. The first one paid 700. The second one paid 600. Now, it was going a little under, or right around 700 miles. So the first one was paying me $1 a mile. And I knew, I was looking around. If I'd known it was going to be just 1 pallet on that one instead of 5, I probably would have booked a 3rd partial if one would have popped up. But that's just the thing of it. On these, there's a lot of guesswork in it, and you ask as many questions as you can. And like I said, I'd be as honest as you can, because you don't want to drive 100 miles to pick up a load and then back up to get dock height on your ramps, and somebody come out and say, no, we can't do that, and they don't have any other way to load you. You've just wasted your time and theirs, and that agent's not going to want to use you anymore. So just be honest as far as that goes. So okay, let's get into how much I'm spending on fuel, maintenance, and everything else I can think of off the top of my head. Let's start off with fuel. When I first started out in this van about a month and a half ago, fuel was right at $4 a gallon. And actually, that first trip I went out west, and I was paying close to $6 a gallon out there. So in the month and a half that I've had this van, fuel has come down quite a bit. And yesterday, somewhere either in Alabama or Georgia, I can't remember where it was, I paid $3.17 a gallon. Every time that fuel goes down, it costs me less to drive this truck. And this truck already cost me about 1/3 of what the big truck cost me per mile. That's not counting maintenance. It would go up a lot more than that. So let's talk about maintenance on this truck so far. So obviously, I don't have any pneumatics on this truck. There's no airlines going anywhere. Don't really have to worry about that. Don't have to worry about fifth wheel or greasing the fifth wheel, or the lights on this truck are all LED except for the headlights. There is just 10 times less to worry about on this truck than there is a big truck. So the only maintenance, knock on wood, that I've had to do on this truck has been 2 oil changes, about $100. The first one was 40. The second was a little bit more because I went to one of these 15 minutes in and out places, and that's it. Now I use full synthetic on this truck, so I don't have to get an oil change about every week or every other week. I went about on the last oil change, I went right at 8,000 miles on that oil change, somewhere around there. And I check my oil every morning. If you get used to checking your oil and looking at it, smelling of it, feeling of it, you'll know when your oil is nearing that point where you have to change it. It's just depending on your engine. Some of these engines have a lot of carbon buildup. The oil just gets dark quick and it smells burnt. But this engine, thank God, it burns. It's clean, and even at 8,000 miles, that oil was still in very good shape. And but I got it changed anyway. Did full synthetic again, so I'm good for at least another 8,000 miles. And that depends on how you drive, where you drive. If you're doing a lot of city driving, those hard miles, you're gonna have to get it changed far sooner than that. But this truck does all highway miles and some idling. I do have to idle. So as far as the fuel goes, gas prices are coming down. Maintenance, spent less than $100 in a month and a half on oil changes. I do need some tires on the back, some duals on the back. I've already priced those for 4 tires, mounted, balanced, out the door, $380. I couldn't buy one tire for my big truck for that much. But when I bought this truck, the duals on the back, they were pretty close to needing to be replaced. And these, since I found out these duals on the back here are top of the line, the tires that are on here. And when I got the inspection, this guy said, yeah, they're really close, but they're still legal. Got out there yesterday morning and checked them again. They're still legal. And I've run this thing for a month and a half. So they've lasted a lot longer than I thought. And I probably should get them changed right now. But I'm going to wait till I get back to the house to do those. And it's, like I said, $380 for all 4 tires on the back. I love that. What else do I spend money on? Hotel rooms. Let's talk about that. Got my sleeper now. The first couple of weeks out, I was spending between $50 and $80 a night for a room. If you're going to do it that way, go ahead and spend the money and get a nice hotel room, because $50 hotel room, you get what you pay for, along with some extras like cockroaches. So in that, in the last month, I think I've only spent, I did a reset out in Reno, and instead of staying in the truck for, a day and a half, I went ahead and got a hotel room. I didn't stay in my sleeper, but this thing has saved me lots and lots of money so far. What else? Food. That's the big thing. In the big truck, I had my coffee maker. I had a skillet. I could cook all types of things. This truck, I can't do any of that so far. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do it without adding too much weight. The coffee's the big thing for me, because while I was getting dressed in the other truck, I'd brew a cup of coffee and I'd be going down the road. Now I have to get up, walk into or find a store or walk into the truck stop and pay $2 for 10-cent cup of coffee. It just it irks me. But I don't like cold coffee, so until I figure out an efficient way to do that without taking up too much space, I'm gonna have to suffer with that. Like I said, I can't cook in here, but that's about it. As far as the expenses, I probably spend more on food and coffee in this truck. Well, I know I spend more on coffee, but probably spend more on food because I'm not able to cook anything. Now I have my emergency rations. If you're doing this, you got to have some food and water on the truck at all times. I'm sure a lot of you have been stuck in blizzards or behind car wrecks or what have you, and if you're up north and you get in some of these blizzard conditions or something, you might be shut down on the side of the road for a day or two. And if you don't have food, you're in trouble. So I do have about 2 days worth of food on here, just some canned stuff. But what else? I guess that's it as far as expenses go. What I can think of. So right now, I'm as far as work goes. Let me open this door. It's getting a little stuffy. I am enjoying this so much more than driving the big truck. The big truck, I'm not saying it's stressful, but I guess you get used to it. There's a lot of stress in driving that thing. You got to watch out for all these jackasses down the road who want to pull over in front of you and slam on their brakes. And although I still do that, I don't worry quite as much. I don't worry about um, getting in and out of places. I don't worry about where I get fuel. I don't worry about where I eat. I can pull off at any exit and get fuel, food, go to the Walmart. Um, what else? One of the other things that I've been contemplating doing is joining a gym. These 20, what are they called? 24-hour fitness. They're supposedly have 1,000 locations across the U.S. and I think they're like $20 a month, and you can go in there, work out, get you a shower. And I've heard some people say that you can park in their parking lot sometimes. So I might end up doing that, and that might end up saving me a little bit of money and either get me in better shape or give me a heart attack for working out. So that's another consideration. I might do that. But hopefully this video gives you some of the information a lot of you have been asking for. That last video was pretty popular, and I know a lot of people are thinking about doing this. A couple of, I guess, pieces of advice is this is not easy. It is, for me, it's less stressful as far as the driving goes, but finding those loads, knowing which ones are safe for you to take, and trying to make a very good profit is not easy on this truck at all. It's, on the big truck, those power only loads weren't paying great, but I was able to find them when I needed to. And if I needed to make a big check, I could, run an out and back to wherever, California or Pennsylvania or something, and back and make a big check when things weren't working out. This, I have not been able to find those loads going back and forth through the house yet. And it may come to the point where I have to actually trade up to one of the 26-foot box trucks, which I don't want to do, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Making money with this truck, it can be done. If you want to make $1,000 a week and that's all you need, this would be super easy to do in this truck. If you want to make $2,000 a week net profit, you're challenged a little bit more. But $3,000 to $4,000 a week, it's possible. $3,000 a week, $4,000, you'd have to have just the most awesome week, and you wouldn't be able to do that every single week. I suspect the guys that are saying they're doing that, they're probably loading up in Los Angeles with 3 or 4 partials and going out east and getting as many partials as they can and coming back. But when you're doing that, that takes more than a week to do that, because this truck has to have an ELD. And I'll get into that in the next video, what you need to be legal in this truck. So see you next time.